WVTC Radio Detroit. You can find us on Facebook, YouTube, X, and our website, www.wvtcdetroit.com, or download our WVTC app from the Play Store for Android users and the App Store for iPhone users. WVTC Radio Detroit. You can find us on Facebook, YouTube, our website, www.wvtcradio.com, or download our WVTC app from the Play Store for Android users and the App Store for iPhone users. Thank you for tuning to WVTC Radio Detroit and the Community Bell Show with your host, former Wayne County Commissioner Edna Bell. Stay tuned for insightful information Detroiters will find valuable. Text a friend and tell them to watch with you for news you can use. And now, your host, Edna Bell.
Hello, hello, hello. It is Monday at 4 o'clock, so it must be the Community Bell Show. Welcome to the Community Bell Show. I've missed you. I know I've been gone a couple of weeks, but I'm back. Thank you so much for sending your grace and your prayers on the loss of my sister. we were getting through that. We're getting through that. We appreciate all of you. So I can say Happy New Year because I haven't been here this year. Everybody, Happy New Year. It's been okay. It's been okay, but we're pleased to have you with us as always. It's Detroit, and it's snow outside, and it's cold. But it's Detroit and we live here, so we're accustomed to that. So it's okay. We know how to act. We know how to dress. We know what to do. So we know when to stay home and we know what kind of clothes to put on. So we're okay. I have a very special guest today. This young lady I've known for a whole lot of years, a whole lot of years. I probably before she had all her babies,
Yes.
but I've known she and her husband, a wonderful couple who have always given back and always been just great in terms of community. But you're going to hear something very, very special today. She is now Dr. Carolyn Carter. She is a genealogist. She is a historian and a whole lot of other stuff. But I'm going to let her tell you about some of that stuff. But the first thing I'm going to ask her, when you say genealogy, what do you mean? Because these people are not going to understand what genealogy really is. So tell them what it is.
All right. Well, first, I want to say thank you for this opportunity just to tell people and help enrich their culture. And so when you're talking about what genealogy is the study of our history, where we come from. And in that vein, we are studying our ancestors.
Mm-hmm.
So our ancestors are the people who are no longer with us. So that's the difference between genealogy and ancestry.
All right. Got that? She's going to tell you so much that she's going to have to come back because there's so much she has to tell. So, but today, I wanted to talk about how did you get involved in this? What made you decide that this was the field you wanted to go into?
Well, I started this journey when I was 5 years old. I would spend my summers growing up in Black Bottom, Detroit with my grandparents and my great-grandparents and my uncles and my aunts. And I learned about who they were. I would hide in the kitchen under the table and listen to the conversation because, kids could not be in the company of adults.
That's right. Oh, what are you doing in here?
Get out of here. And so my aunt, she would take me to the attic and she would show me the artifacts of my ancestors, the people who were no longer with us. And I became fascinated with who these people were and how they were connected to me. And so many, many years later, as I got older and people got older, I had the awesome opportunity of having a conversation with my great-grandmother and my grandmother at the kitchen table.
Wow.
So I call myself the kitchen genealogist because for me, that's where all the love, all the lessons, and all the education came from. In the kitchen.
In the kitchen.
That's where the ancestors sat and they talked and you learned about who they were, what they did, the good things and the bad things.
Yeah, yeah.
And so that's where that journey began for me when I had that conversation with them and I vowed to my great-grandmother who died in 1993 at the age of 110.
Wow.
She was the youngest of 21 siblings. And I vowed to her that I would research and find her siblings. She had 21 siblings, but she only knew 13 of them. The other ones were sold to a different enslaver.
Oh, wow.
And so that started for me. That journey started to me. So I started, emailing archives and sending letters that before Ancestry and all these other databases became popular. And of course, it was not very educational and I didn't get a lot out of it. And so once the databases became available, I really started researching and just opened a door for me in learning about who they were and what they did and how they lived and how they died. And so that was my journey. And as I began to dive deeper and deeper into this, people were like, can you find this person for me? Can you find that person for me? And so I began doing genealogy for other people and really immersing myself in the education of it. And as I got a master's in history because I wanted to become more scholarly. And then I got my doctorate degree because that's important as you're doing this research to let people know that you have the credentials to do the scholarly research.
Yes.
And so that was the journey for me.
And it's interesting you mentioned Black Bottom because that's where my grandmother lived. And then we would go down there on weekends. My parents would take us down there, but my grandmother was a little bit different. Grandma Lily ran a juke joint.
Okay.
and so she had the card games and the going in the back and the fried chicken and the ribs going out and on the back porch, and so mother would not let us go down to Grandma Lily's house all the time, and we could never stay at Grandma Lily's house overnight. That was absolutely unheard of. But Grandma Lily, you still learn a lot. Because you learn, again, you couldn't be in the kitchen. You knew it was there, but you had to stay up front. You could not be back there where all the goings on happened. But Grandma Lily was quite the one. And as they said, better be careful. People would be careful because Grandma Lily would cut you. Grandma Lily didn't play. I said, all righty then. And so my father used to say, you like your grandmother. you leave those kids alone. Now.
Our ancestors, they lived colorful lives.
They did.
And I tell everybody, no matter what they did, good or bad, they survived it to get to us. And we are here to tell the stories.
And we're here because of them.
We are here
because they were so strong.
Yes.
They were so strong to get through some of the things they went through.
Yes.
That's why we have been able to survive.
That's right.
And a lot of that blood, that strength has come through us. And the goal is now to pass it on to our children and our grandchildren and all of those young folk who need it. And that's one of the things that I want everybody to do is talk about your history with your children.
Absolutely.
Because they don't know. And they certainly won't get it taught in school.
No.
And so we have to share the story. We have to share the journey and let them know about their grandfathers and their great grandfathers and how they got to where they are. And so I tell my grandchildren now, I wrote this little piece to give them the history. Well, stuff happened during the holidays. I had one of my dear sister passed, so we didn't get a chance to give them the history. But it's waiting for them when they come home in the spring, and they'll get the lesson again about their grandmother and their great grandmother and their grandfather and their great grandfather and why they were able to do what they did, and why you don't know how strong you are. And why you're so strong. Well, let me tell you why you're so strong.
Absolutely. And I think in this journey, helping people understand that our ancestors often passed down the pain. They didn't always pass down the good things because they kept a lot of secrets.
Yes.
And specifically in this journey, in researching our enslaved ancestry. And in a minute, I'll talk about that journey of walking that space on the plantation where my enslavers were. But I tell people that I teach, you are not a descendant from slaves because slavery was a condition. It's not a culture. And so you have to help people understand because a lot of our ancestors were free. They were not enslaved.
Yes.
And so in teaching people to research and learn about who they are and where they come from, is so much pain attached to it for various reasons. But there's so much to celebrate as well. And I tell people, you were not there. You have to assume all those stories you heard are false until you learn the truth. You were not there. And in finding those truths and knowing those stories, you're going to find some great stories. You're going to find some horrible stories. But it made us who we are. They survived it.
Yes.
To get to us.
And, and I think about this all. If they could survive what they went through,
what do we have to complain about?
What do you have to complain about? And I think about that often because we have so many people sometimes complaining, but I don't have this and I don't have that. Well, my. Think about what they didn't have and the pain they went through no fault of their own. And so stop complaining.
And in doing this research, you find out things about yourself. My great-grandfather was Irish. My grandfather was Jewish and German and Black. So I'm 17% Ashkenazi Jew. My great-grandmother was Native American and Black. On my father's side, my fourth-time great-grandfather was Hispanic and Black and European. And so in researching, and I did all of that through my DNA, but finding out, fortunately, I tested my mother before she passed during the pandemic. I tested her. I'm so glad I did. And my aunt that showed me those artifacts and taught me that I tested her 3 days before she died.
Oh my
Her
goodness.
DNA. I was like, let me do it. So she died about 3 months ago. But in learning those stories, you're putting your family in the context of history.
Yes.
And I say that because I'll give you an example. When I was researching my great-great-great-grandfather on my father's side, his name was Charles Whiteside. He was sold 4 times because he had a trade. He was a blacksmith. The last time he was sold for $1,500. And as I have a cousin,
and that's a small fortune in those days.
Me and my cousin Cassie are researching him, and she's done a lot of work in that as well. And we went down to Tennessee this past summer, just to see where he lived and everything. But his story was, when I was in DC, I was researching his military records. And this is something, as you're researching these records about your people, you've got to go to the repositories where people were, where they lived, the library, the small little archive in the town. You can find some things online, but you're going to have to get out of your chair and go to where they were. You're going to have to do that.
That's interesting because the place where my parents came for my mother burned. And so the records were all burned up. It was in the courthouse. That's where they kept things in. And I'm trying to figure out where else might I be.
Now, where was that?
Arkansas.
Okay. Okay.
No, back up. Alabama. They were from Alabama initially, and then they moved to Arkansas, but the Alabama was the initial.
Then there's an enslaver story about that. I'm going to ask you about that in a second. But as I was researching him, I went to Washington, D.C., and I went to the National Archives because I was trying to find his military record because I knew he served in the He served in the Civil War.
Oh, wow.
But he served in the Confederacy.
Okay.
And the reason he served in the Confederacy because he went to the Civil War as his enslaver's son's slave.
And they directed them what to do.
Yes. And when he came home with him. But as I was researching him in the National Archives, and this person kept coming up, his name was Lafayette Whiteside. My ancestor was Charles Whiteside.
Okay.
And this gentleman by the name of Lafayette Whiteside kept coming up, and I'm researching, and the archivist is seeing me, and he wasn't giving me any help. And he finally came over, he said, I didn't want to tell you this, but your ancestors served in the Confederacy. I was like, why didn't you tell me that like an hour ago?
Like, you want to tell me?
Like, why were you, what, I was going to beat you up or something? Why do you want to tell me?
Change it.
And so, and his record was associated with his. And so I found out that he had served because he filled out a pension application. In historical and genealogical research, a pension application was just an affidavit to your character. There was no city county building. There was no registered records of records. So when a person came out of the military or war and they were trying to get money from the government, they filled out what was called a pension application. And they got people in the neighborhood to attest to their character.
Wow.
And that's what you submitted to the government. So Charles Whiteside submitted a pension application to the state of Tennessee. Because he served in the Confederacy, he was considered a traitor.
Oh my.
And he could not get a pension from the United States.
Is that something?
So he finally got $85 from the state of Tennessee in his 80s. Until he died. He was 103 when he died in Detroit in March of 1939. He had 10 children. By the turn of the century, he only had 3 left. I'm a descendant of one of those 3 because they had all died from diseases and things like that. But yeah, he had a skill. He was the only blacksmith in town. When he was 8, the enslaver sold his mother and his brother to a Texas slave trader. So we've traced them and we found them in Texas. So it's been an interesting journey.
That is
doing
so
that
incredible.
Doing that research and finding him. But as we were talking about the ancestors and researching them and trying to find them in documents, we must remember that a lot of these documents, they were either witnessed later or they were delayed documents because they weren't available to the regular person. And I'll give you an example. My grandfather's birth certificate was witnessed by my great-grandfather. And I know that's not a firsthand document because he was not there when he was born.
Wow.
His father-in-law would not have been there when he was born. And so it was a delayed document. And many states use delayed documents because our ancestors, when they came to Michigan during the Great Migration, they came up here for employment and they had to have documentation. And so many of them got what was called delayed documents. And so when you're putting your family in the context of history, when you're researching, you got to find out what documents were available during that time in that state. What did they have? Social Security cards only came out in the 50s.
Okay.
And they went to men first. So a lot of documents that we have now, they're missing and they're not giving the true information, like our census records.
Yes.
The first 5 census that started in the 1790s were taken by the United States Marshals. So we know Black people were afraid of the police.
Oh, absolutely.
So they would not give up information. Census takers got paid 2 cents a name. So if they went to your farm and you were not home, they asked the little lady down the street, who lived there? I think that's Aunt Betty and Mr. Foots. That's what they would put on the census document because they didn't know. What was their occupation? Well, I think she was one of them girls of the night. Prostitution, that was her job. That's what they would put on the census record. And so a lot of our documents you can't use as primary sources because they weren't told by the person who actually gave the information. And if you were visiting a farm or working as a sharecropper on another farm during the time when the census taker came, they recorded you as living in that home.
Wow.
Because they got paid a penny a name.
Is that something?
Yes. And so document things like that when you're looking and you're researching and you're trying to find your ancestors. There's so many things that can create roadblocks for you if you don't understand that you're putting your ancestors in the context of history. And you're learning about history as you're finding them along that journey.
My. That is just incredible. And just the information I found about my parents, it came from a census and came from census documents. And I found, found them online through Ancestry and all that kind of good stuff. And it was the census documents that I found it on. You would be surprised when you're looking at a census so they are
document.
not they're not accurate.
They're not. I remember when my husband's brother died, and we were sitting in the sanctuary after the funeral, and his father and sister were having a conversation about their father. And so he said, well, Daddy said that he was adopted. And she said, who told you that?
Oh, wow.
Because I think back in those days, adoption meant something else. You didn't have to go to adoption agency.
No.
It's like, I can't take care of this child. Can you take care of it? And she kind of confirmed to him, Daddy was not adopted. And so he was surprised because he was in his 90s. And all these years, he thought his father was adopted.
Isn't that something?
And so our ancestors, some of the stories that we learn about them, it's just an interesting journey. I was researching. I had an aunt. Now, this is a dark story.
Oh, well, we've all got some dark stories.
I had an aunt who she killed her boyfriend's girlfriend.
Okay.
She caught them anyway.
Yeah.
And so this happened when my mother and them were young. And so I wanted to find the actual transcript. And the process that I took for that was, first I asked my mother and our aunts, when did it happen? I don't know. We were little. I was like, that's not information for me. How am I finding that? So I kind of used math. I said, okay, how were they when they were little? So I did like a 10-year span of when I thought my mother and them were little.
Yes.
And could have understood that. And then I went to the Burton Historical Collection because they have a huge repository of genealogical records. And so I went looking for the original court transcript. But because I knew she was a prisoner in the Detroit House of Correction, the HOCO.
So this happened here?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I knew she was in the HOCO. She was in it for 10 years.
Oh.
I knew she was in Dehoko.
You know, bitch in Dehoko, people don't know what we're talking about.
Detroit House of Correction. It was a prison.
Those of us in
Detroit.
know. But when you mentioned Dehoko, they said, well, what's Dehoko? Detroit
House of Correction. Yes. Yeah.
And you're going to get sent to the HOCO if you don't stop acting up.
And it's set right in Detroit.
Yes, right in Detroit.
I think it was in the area where Eastern Market and the Shane area. That's what the HOCO was. And so I went to Burden Historical Collection and I pulled up the prison records because I knew she was a prisoner there. But then I found out, okay, she was married. So I had to look for her married name. And I found her.
You did
I found her in the prison records. So that was the second step. Finding out the time frame, then finding the prison record. So once I got the prison record, I could go to Lansing and pull the original court transcript.
Oh my.
So that was the process I took because I wanted to learn the real story and what happened.
So what was the real story?
Well, she did kill her. Okay, we did know that. But the way it happened was not the way, because my mother didn't remember. So so the way it happened. And so that's kind of the journey that people have to take when you're looking for, you got to find the paper trail and find the correct documents and all of the research. I am still researching an ancestor. My great uncle came home from the war. He had a Purple Heart, Silver Star, everything, served in World War II. He came home in the 40s and 50s. When he got home, he was building Pontiac High School.
Oh my goodness.
Pontiac Hospital. And it was him and another Black man on this construction site of all white people. The crane came down in the hole and cut him in half at the midsection. So yes. And so I asked my aunts, I said, well, what happened? And his friend was never the same after that.
Oh, I'm sure.
And so that was another trail for me to follow. So right now I'm researching the hospital records to see what happened to him. I mean, I know we have the death certificate and it says he was cut in half at the midsection.
No insurance in those days.
So I think she said the construction company came to the house and gave them $100. Gave her my great grandmother $100 for her son. Yes. And so that's a journey, a research journey that I'm on right now, to find out if there are any newspaper clippings or articles about him and what happened. Because, back in those days, they put everything in the newspaper.
That's the only record we ever had oftentimes was newspaper.
And so they lived in Black Bottom. All my family was funeralized at Diggs funeral. I have the original funeral records. When my great aunt died, her funeral was $800.
Oh,
that included a dress, a car, and a casket. So it's I just love finding this, like finding puzzles for me. And so when you are on this journey looking for your ancestors, you start with you. You want to tell your story first, and then you go from the known to the unknown. You talk about what you know, and then you go backwards from there, and you build on that story from there. That's how you start that journey, telling your story, and then connecting the dots of those people. And you will find those connections in those people and those census records. Some of them provide a wealth of information because every census has different questions. The census is released every 70 years from when it was taken.
Okay.
Because we were afraid of the government. And we were afraid to give information because we thought
talk to them.
we thought the enslavers would come and get us.
Yes.
So we wouldn't give true information. So now they just released the 1950 census in 2012. The 1960 census will be released in 2032.
Wow. That is incredible.
Yes.
That is incredible. But it gives people some place to start.
Yes.
It gives you a starting point where at least you don't have to go back and figure out where to start. That's a starting point. And there's so many stories of that sort, particularly in the Detroit area, because everybody moved to Detroit with the great migrations, all the jobs that were here. That's when my dad came. They were going to get it, and he did. He worked at General Motors, retired from General Motors. So everybody came up here for the auto jobs. And so there are many, many stories, and I still haven't found his father yet. His father supposedly was an Irishman from Texas. And when my grandmother, his mother, became pregnant, she had the baby, left the baby with her mother, and then she came to Detroit. And so we still don't know who the father is, this figure. But I do know how I got to have some Irish in me. It's beyond me. But yeah, I'm part Irish.
I connected with my Irish ancestors
yes.
through my DNA. We met maybe about 10 years ago. They had been reaching out to me on Ancestry because I've been on Ancestry a long time. And they were like, we're cousins. I was like, no, we're not. I kept ignoring the emails. I didn't want to respond to them. So I was like, let me respond to this man. We're cousins.
Really?
They're cousins.
Oh, what's that?
Their ancestor had 10 children by my great-grandfather's mother.
Oh, wow.
She was the color of this speaker. And they never married. But all of the children have the surname Kirby, Kirby. Those are my Irish. So we're fifth cousins.
Isn't that something?
They did not know that their ancestor had 10 children by this woman.
Surprise, surprise,
So when they were
surprise.
connecting the DNA, they were like, I said they had 10 children together. And so my aunt tells a story that they said, old man Kirby, as they call him. He, his wife would send the sons around the corner to come and get him. Now my ancestor was Margaret Drake. He would send the sons around to Margaret's house to get him, and he would send them away, tell them he wasn't leaving.
He gonna stay with Margaret.
He gonna stay. They had 10 children there, but she was from the islands.
Oh, wow.
And in researching their ancestors, so my Kirby ancestors go all the way back to, I have a Kirby ancestor who signed the Cumberland Compact, which was one of the establishers of the state of Tennessee.
Yes.
So I have a Kirby ancestor who did that.
Goodness.
So who's taking the DNA in your family?
Nobody.
Somebody needs to take it.
Somebody needs to take it. Yes.
You're looking for who now?
I'm looking for my grandfather. This would be
On your mother's side?
on my father's side.
So who's left?
It would be my father's father.
So who on your father's side?
Nobody's left.
No males?
Nobody. He was an only child.
Okay, so you're gonna have to take the test.
So and my brother's gone, so I'm the only one left in that side.
But your brother, did your brother have children?
Yes,
Any boys?
he's gone. He had a boy. He's gone. His daughter just passed 6
Oh
months
my
ago.
God! Okay,
Yes,
so you're gonna have to,
it's been. So I'm it.
you're gonna have to take the test.
I'm it. Yes.
You're gonna have to take the test as soon as possible.
Yes,
You're gonna take the test.
So I just really want to
know. And I encourage people to take it. People like I don't want
about the test. Tell people how to take the test.
So
What's
the
process?
first of all, you need to pay attention if you're on social media. Wait for it's on sale because the test costs about $99. I think during Christmas time it was $24.
Oh wow!
And they always have it on sale during special times: Easter, Mother's Day, Father's Day. Wait for it to go on sale. And it's just a kit. You get it.
I did that.
You have you took the DNA?
I took the DNA test through Ancestry.
But then you good.
So I just have to.
So we have to sit and have a session.
Yeah, because I did do that. I did that several years ago. That's how I found out. All this other stuff about my father and who he stayed with my grandmother. No, he stayed with my great grandmother, and there's somebody else in the house. I said, I don't know who that person is. My mother and my father stayed there. And then there was somebody else who stayed in the house.
We'll have to have a meeting.
That would be one. We'll
have to have a session.
But I did do
and then we can reveal our results.
I did. Yes, I would love to do that.
We have to do that. Yeah. But that DNA, people are, I don't want the government to know. I was like, look, when you were born,
they know.
Did the government take your blood?
They know
through your umbilical cord.
So
anything they want to know about you, they know.
They already know. So let's not pretend that it's
anything
something. Nothing is hidden.
When you create your tree and put your information out there, you can make it private. You don't have to make it public. Mine is public because
at this point in time,
I make a lot of my
public for so long. It might as well. It won't hurt.
Yeah. So we'll have to do it. But for anyone else who wants to take that test, I would encourage you. If you're looking for a male, the male DNA went through the entire line. Your mother's DNA stuff, and in the DNA, where I'm not a geneticist like that, but I do know a little bit about the DNA.
But
test.
my brother had a son. His son passed, but his son had 2 boys.
One of them should take it.
So I could have
Yes, one of them should take it, and you should take it.
Okay.
We get 25% of our DNA from our mother and father, but we get a mixture That's why you and your siblings have different DNA.
Okay.
They may get a stronger connection than you. When I tested my mother and all of her sisters, because she was the oldest, the closest you get to the ancestors, the better the results.
Okay.
So because she was the oldest, her Native American DNA showed up, where her sisters, it did not.
Ah, okay.
But it's a test. You get it, you spit in a tube, you shake it up and mail it back.
And I did that. I did that several years ago. So I'll have to go back and see what I can find from that. Yes, I'll have to do that. Now my nephews, they're two my brother's sons, and then his daughter has a son.
The nephews from him.
Nephews from him are the ones that,
have one of them take it and you take it.
Okay. That would be great.
Yeah. And it will connect you to that person.
Would be great. Now, on my mother's side, there were 17 of them.
Wow.
And they're all gone now. But I would love to, I know most of them, but there are a whole lot of cousins, I'm sure, on that side that I don't have a clue.
Well, you said Alabama, right? So let me mention a story about
Alabama and Arkansas, because they originally were from Alabama.
Well, let's start with Alabama. Okay, you know the story of the Clotilda slave ship?
I've heard that. Say it.
So the Clotilda slave ship was a slave ship that went over to Benin, Africa. The captain of the ship met some of his friends. This was after slavery was abolished, that he could go over to Benin, Africa, and bring back some enslaved people. And so he did. He went to Africa and he brought back 300 enslaved people. They docked in Mobile, Alabama. Because it was illegal, they were intercepted and they burned the ship. The people were dispersed everywhere. That town is called Africa Town now. It's still there.
I just visited that town last year.
Africa.
I have friends in Mobile, and I went to visit them, and he said, "Well, I want this young man who is the executive director of the Africa Town piece, and I want you to meet him and take a tour." And I took the tour of Africa Town. Yes, I did. Yes,
that story was discovered by Zora Neale Hurston.
Yes.
In the 30s. The book that she wrote, Baccaroon, in the 30s, they took off of the shelves because they said it was too controversial, and they re-released it in 2018. The audiobook is phenomenal. You have to listen to it because it's his original dialect, and he's talking about being stolen from Africa at the age of 8.
Wow.
And everybody in Africa Town is related to those enslaved people who was on that ship.
I'll be darned, but because I had never heard of Africa Town until he mentioned it to me, and the guy who took us on the tour, he was so animated. He was so good. I mean, he was, and it just so happens that his father was a doctor in Africa Town, and he showed me his father's house, and that was years ago. And now he is back. And this, the world is so small. His wife is married to the young lady who used to be the president of DTE's foundation.
Oh, wow.
Here in Detroit. I mean,
it is very small.
It is. But yes, I had a chance to do that.
And there's so many projects and stories right now.
Faye Nelson, that's her name.
I know Faye.
Yeah, well, this was her son-in-law.
Wow.
Who was the executive director of this organization, took me on this tour. He was phenomenal.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. And when you're talking about Arkansas, Georgia, that area, there's another story. It's called The Weeping Time.
Okay.
The Weeping Time is the story of Major Pierce Butler. They had a plantation in Georgia, but they had 900 slaves, enslaved people. His grandfather left the estate when he died. He left it to his grandchildren. And in order for them to get the estate, they had to change their last name to Butler. He left them, but of course the son was a gambler, and he gambled away half of the plantation, so he had to sell half of the slaves. He sold 450 slaves. This is known as the largest enslaved auction, and people from all over the South, enslavers came all over the South to buy those people. And it's called the weeping time because it was raining that day. Couples were trying to get married so that they could be sold together. People were crying, so they called it the weeping time. And in that book,
children away from the parents, all of that.
In that book, in the back of that book, they list some of the surnames of those enslaved people, the people that they kept on the plantation. Now, my husband's family, he's a butler, so he's connected to that plantation. When I was researching him, this is the first time I found on his 4 times grandfathers on his mother's side, he indicates on the census that his mother was born in Africa.
Wow.
Yeah. And so
Absolutely
as we
amazing.
research and talk about our ancestors and these people who are connected to us, we must know and understand that the rich lives that they lived and the things that they did, it's like it's like the storybook of Hansel and Gretel. The breadcrumbs that they left for us are there. We just got to find them.
Wow.
We have to find them. And I'm so passionate about this because I think everybody should embark upon this journey in learning about who they are, because sometimes it's a healing.
Yes.
And as I walked that plantation during the pandemic, my mother died at the beginning of the pandemic, and I was just tired of being in the house. And I had been communicating with my enslaved descendants.
Wow.
I connected with them, and I reached out to a family member, and he said, you need to give them a call. They still live on the plantation. It took me 3 years to call them.
They still live on the plantation?
It took me 3 years to call them because I did not know what they were going to say. This was an emotional journey.
Painful.
Were they going to reject me? What would they say? What would I say to them? And I finally got to the point. I picked up the phone. I was like, my name is Carolyn Albert Carter. I think your family own mine. And so they laughed. But we had been communicating. So they invited me to the plantation during the pandemic. So my husband and I went because he has family in Tennessee. So we went down there. I said, okay, let's drive up to the plantation. It's halfway between Nashville and Memphis.
Okay.
In Brownville, Tennessee. So we went and I got there and they were very welcoming. I got to walk this. I couldn't enjoy it because it was during the pandemic.
Yeah.
They didn't have on masks and I did. But so I couldn't really feel it the way I wanted to feel it. But it was there. The plantation house is still standing. So we toured the house.
And is it one of the big plantation houses?
It's a big house. It looks like one of the houses.
Pillars, the ones you see in the movies.
And they took us to the cemetery, and and I had my folder with all my stuff because I'm like, I'm gonna prove to them this. And then I start asking questions. My husband was like, shh. I'm like, look, I might not get back here. I need to ask everything I need to.
Came all this way.
So I'm like, where's the black people buried? So my husband was like, really? I'm like, I want to know where they're buried. But we don't know because they have 1,000 acres of land.
Wow.
The chimney that they built is still the same. Now, she had told me a story, which she recounted, or she couldn't remember, that, during the Industrial Revolution, in enslavers, you didn't cook in the home. You always had a cabin outside the home to cook, where they cooked the food. And so the cabin was there. And so she told me that her grandmother told her that after enslaving was done, they put the cabin on slacks and tacked it onto the back of the house and made it an addition. Their kitchen. I was like, they didn't make enough money with cotton to do that. And so when we got there, I asked her about it. She's like, well, I remember that. I was like, oh, she'll admit it now. But they still have cotton. So I'm like, oh, y'all still got cotton? Who harvests your cotton? With this boy in town, I was like, is he black? She was like, they were like, no. She was like, no. I'm like, I'm asking everything.
And Mark was like, you want us to get out of here safe. You want to stop asking questions.
And so we went in the house and we were talking about, our families, and they showed us the bedroom. It was like a 4 feet off the floor bed that only had been moved one time. It was original to the house. And come to find out, her brother and I are double cousins. Oh. He has my mother's surname and my father's surname. I said, we're double cousins. And so that was interesting. So I left them with a binder of
Oh
stuff.
my gosh.
I'm like, here's everything, all the research I've done, so you guys will know who's who and what's what. And so it was interesting. We have since lost touch. I don't know. I think maybe they thought I wanted land or something. I don't want to move down there.
I'm not going to Tennessee.
But yeah, so that was, it was interesting to be in that space and to walk that land where my ancestors lived and died. And I know they're buried there somewhere. I just don't know where. But it was a journey.
Oh my gosh, I can't imagine.
It was a journey.
Oh,
it was a journey.
That is incredible. That is absolutely
and then I learned about who they were. They went from Scotland to Virginia to Pennsylvania to North Carolina to Tennessee. After the war, they gave those white soldiers land to harvest. And so he took his lot of enslaved people, which included my ancestors, and moved them from Caswell County, North Carolina to Haywood County, Brownsville, Tennessee.
Wow. Oh.
Yeah. Tina Turner's ancestors were in that same area on that plantation. She built the schoolhouse in her family built the schoolhouse in Brownsville, Tennessee.
Oh my goodness. Mm-hmm. It's just so incredible to hear. Just the stories, stories. Oh my goodness. It's incredible. It is wonderful. I am so glad you were here.
I'm enjoying it. I can talk. I love talking about the ancestors.
Oh, well, I'm telling you. Well, you're going to get another chance because I'm going to have you back.
Okay.
Before we finish, so I want you to talk about the other things that you're involved in.
Oh, wow.
But particularly the Underground Railroad.
Okay.
And Wayne State. So
okay. Well, the Wayne State that's genealogy. I'm doing a genealogy session for them. But as an Underground Railroad historian, I kind of stumbled upon this maybe in 2010, and I wanted to know about these people. In school, they only taught you that Frederick Douglass and Harriet Tubman. Harriet Tubman never came to Detroit. Frederick Douglass did March 12, 1859, when John Brown came here looking for money for Harper's Ferry.
Okay.
But all of those sites down in downtown in the river, like where our Michigan Central Railroad station, the new one, sits, that was not the original Michigan Central Railroad. The original Michigan Central Railroad sat on the Detroit River where the riverfront apartments sat.
Wow.
That was a site of freedom. And many people rode those trains and came to Detroit because they knew Detroit was freedom.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And now is that where they also went on to Canada? Those who were going to Canada went through there to Canada?
Yes. April 7th, 1861, it was called the Great Chicago Exodus.
Really?
Dr. Larry McClellan wrote about this story. He's the expert on this, but I do know the story. The city of Chicago decided it was an incident, and they decided they were going to send all of their Black people back to slavery. And so they boarded trains coming to Detroit. The brothers, George the Baptiste was in Detroit. He was an abolitionist. His brother, Richard the Baptiste, was in Chicago. They shipped the entire congregation of Zoar Baptist Church to Detroit via the railroad.
Oh, my. Oh, my.
And they came to Detroit and they got off the Michigan Central Railroad because Michigan Central Railroad not only had trains, they had boats.
Mm-hmm.
And they came here, and many of them stayed in Detroit, but a lot of them went across the river to Canada. Because Canada was freedom.
Yes.
And so I've done a lot of research into that, written many Network of Freedom, National Park Service historic designations that have been. Wayne County Community College District has 2. One for their programming, because we did so much extensive programming around the Underground Railroad movement.
Yes.
And the other one they just got in 2024. There was a foundry, a Michigan Central Railroad foundry that sat where Wayne County Community College District sat. It's called Jackson and Wiley Foundry. Wow. It was a white man and a Black man, and they were abolitionists. And they had many freedom seekers in the foundry before they could escape.
Oh, isn't that amazing? I'm telling you, I'm loving this. I'm loving it so much. You got to come back.
I will.
You have been listening to Dr. Carolyn Carter, genealogist and historian, talk about all of us, because this isn't just about her. This is all of us.
Yes.
We all have the similar stories in our families, but what we have to do is make sure that we take the test. Know where you come from. Know who your family really is. Take the test. But in the meantime, We're going to thank Dr. Carter for being here. And she's going to come back, everybody. I know you're going to call me and say, when's she coming back? She's going to come back.
I will.
She's going to come back and talk more about this and give us some more. I love the stories. Give us more of these wonderful stories. We all need to know this. We need to know this. Be sure you listen for her next appearance on the Community Bell Show. We have had a wonderful time. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Okay, folks, next Monday is February 2nd. First week of African American History Month. You know, we don't celebrate African American History Month around here just in February. We do it all the time because it is our history and we are it all the time. Mm-hmm. So know that the celebration for everybody else starts next Monday.
Yes.
But we're going to celebrate it all. We celebrate it all year long, everybody. So we're going to have her back in African American History Month to talk some more about it. Thank you so much. Okay, folks, we'll see you next Monday, 4:00. This has been the Community Bell Show with our special guest, Dr. Carolyn Carter, genealogist.
Thank you.
Take care. Have a great week.
Thank you for listening to Community Bell with your host, former Wayne County Commissioner, Edna Bell. This broadcast was brought to you by WVTC Radio Detroit. You can find us on Facebook, YouTube, our website, www.wvtcradio.com, or download our WVTC app from the Play Store for Android users and the App Store for iPhone users. If you've enjoyed this broadcast, tell a friend to tune in. We'll see you next Monday at 4 p.m. Eastern to the Community Bell Show, right here on WVTC Radio Detroit. You're listening to WVTC Gospel Radio Detroit, and we're flowing in the Spirit.
Hey, this is Mary, and you know me. All I do is win. Tune in to WVTC Detroit. You will be blessed.
Oh, my goodness. Get ready, Detroit, for a celebration you do not want to miss. Join us for the Sandy Rose celebration, an electrifying evening honoring a powerful legacy of faith, leadership, and impact across gospel music, ministry, media, and community. For decades, this journey has inspired choirs, lifted listeners, strengthened ministries, and changed lives. And now it's time to celebrate. Friday, March 27, 2026 at Hope United Methodist Church, 26275 Northwestern Highway in Southfield, Michigan. Kick off the night with a strolling reception, 5 to 6:30 p.m. with the $50 donation. Get tickets on Eventbrite. Search Sandy Rose Celebration. Then at 6:45, join us in the sanctuary for a musical service and tribute. Free and open to the public. There will be a free will offering. Music, honor, gratitude, legacy. Bring your family, bring your friends. Visit www.sandyrosecelebration.info. That's www.sandyrosecelebration.info. Come and celebrate a life that made a difference in others. See you there. See you there. See you there. This is WVTC Detroit, your award-winning gospel internet radio station. We're bringing you the best in gospel music, live shows, and inspiring interviews. Like and share our page on Facebook and YouTube. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button to stay connected. Your support helps us spread positivity and encouragement throughout the community. So whether you download our WVTC app, visit our website at WVTCDetroit.com, or join us on Facebook or YouTube, you will stay connected and entertained. Join our WVTC Detroit listener family today and tell your friends about us. Together, we can make a difference. WVTC Detroit, where gospel meets the community. Go to your Apple or Google Play Store and download the WVTC Gospel Radio app today. You can also say, Alexa, play WVTC Radio Skills.
Would you like to play WVTC Radio Network?
Absolutely. Download it today.
You're listening to WVTC Gospel Radio Detroit, and we're flowing in the Spirit.